If you need a rig that perfectly matches your requirements, you should probably make one yourself. However, I've been using AutoRig Pro, which is a paid add-on for Blender, and for the general purpose models that I sell, it makes really capable rigs with lots of controls to make animation easier, and it even exports to Unreal Engine. I've even had customers comment on how great my rigs are, which is funny because I just use the tool. Anyway, in this video, we are going to go over the best way that I have found to use AutoRig Pro to make a rig similar to the one you see on screen here. Okay, let's get started. So what I have found works for me is I just take a basic character mesh with no hair, no accessories, and I have some eyes, a left eye, right eye, top teeth, bottom teeth, and a tongue. And I'll rig that first, and then any extra items or accessories I will attach to the rig later and just copy the weights from the body onto those accessories. And then for things like the hair or dresses, I will have a separate rig that attaches to the main rig so it can be swapped with other hairstyles or clothing. Okay, so let's get started here. For reference, I'm using Blender 4.32. AutoRig Pro using 3.74.43, and it's March 2025. AutoRig Pro projects its rig onto whatever geometries in your scene, so make sure you don't have anything extra in your scene. So let's delete everything. I do think I need eyebrows just for reference, but I'll delete all of this stuff too. So grab your mesh, go to the ARP tab here, click Get Selected. You know what? Let's not click the eyebrows because we're not going to use that. So let's hide that for now. Okay, Get Selected Objects. Full body. Okay. Then let's go and add in these little helper tools. So add the neck, chin, shoulders. Try and put the shoulders center mass. I find you'll have to do this a few times and do the skin a few times to get everything to line up properly. So you'll be doing this a few times. And add the ankles. I like to use the Unreal Engine settings. Click Add Facial if you have a face. For the eyes, I try and keep these little helper objects in line vertically. Have these points be a little bit further back from the, like don't put it right on the edge, have it pull back a bit. Ears over here, cheek, nose. So for the eyebrows, this is why I wanted these. So we can use that to place our eyebrows. And for the mouth, try and put the mouth center mass to the lips. So kind of like I'm looking at the lip here, maybe slightly outboard of the center, but basically center mass. Okay, so that looks good. And then you can add your eyeballs and tongue and teeth. So click on this field here and type in eye. Make sure you name your geometry first. So eye left, eye right, teeth, tongue, 2 teeth, top and teeth, and then click OK, and then go. And it should create your, just cross your fingers and hope it works. And you might have to do this a few times. Okay, so the face is looking more or less okay. We can go and edit these to make them perfect. But the hands look okay. Hands get wonky sometimes. I find that if you have some clean loops just going around like a cylinder for parts of the hands, it feels like that makes it work better. And if it's in an A pose or a T pose, with the hands kind of flat facing the ground like it is here, I feel like it works a little bit better. If the hands are bent or things, it gets confused. Okay, so that's looks pretty good. We can click match to rig. Not sure what that is. I think it's because I have some other geometry. Just going to OK that and see what happens. And it looks like we have a rig. You can grab that and see if things are working. Looks pretty good. So click your mesh, shift click the rig, and click skin. And I like to turn off preserve volume. It's nice if you're sticking in Blender only, but if you're exporting to other programs like Unreal, Unreal doesn't support this. So if you want to see what this looks like as it would be in Unreal, turn this off. So I usually just leave that off. Okay, click bind. And then you can grab your rig and voila, it's rigged. Let's see, sometimes the mouth is wonky. Pretty good. The teeth are not attached, so let's go and do that. Hide this guy, click here, shift click the rig, bind, teeth, bind, tongue, bind. Okay, before we bind the eyes, so I find it messes the eyes up a lot. So let's see here. Let's grab the rig and go to rig. And so we're going to keep tweaking this. So whenever you want to tweak it, you grab your rig and click edit reference bones. It takes you back to this reference bone geometry, and you can tweak all these things to get them to where you want them. And then you click match to rig again, and it'll bring back the control rig. So what I find often is it doesn't put the center of the eyes in the center of the eyes. So if you grab your eyeball here, I have an origin, this little yellow dot, set right in the middle of this eyeball here. You can do it yourself if you want. Hopefully your eye is made out of some kind of sphere, and you can alt click and select a loop. If you hit Shift S, it brings up this little menu here, and you can choose different ways to move the 3D cursor. I'm picking cursor to selected, like that. And it goes to whatever, the center of what you have selected. In this case, it's the center of this loop, which is right in the middle of the eye. Okay, so long explanation, but now we have a 3D cursor right there. Grab your rig here, tab into that so you're in edit mode. You can isolate and zoom back to the eye. And there's a lot of bones here. Drag select just around those that half of these bones, and you can make sure you have that. And then hit Shift S and 8, which should be right here. Selection to cursor, and it brings the center of all these eye things to the middle of that eye mesh. And it's mirroring. We got mirror turned on, so it'll do for both the same for both sides. Okay, tab back out, unhide everything. Now click the eye, shift click the rig, skin, and bind. And let's bring back the body here. Go to rig, click match to rig. And now the eyes should also be moving with the head. You can see it rotates really nicely inside the eye socket. And the teeth should now be moving. So that's the basic rig, and this will work pretty well. You could export this to Unreal with the AutoRig Pro tools here. So here you have the AutoRig Pro export. So this will name the bones based on Unreal Engine's naming scheme, and a lot of the bones will be correct, but it adds a bunch of extra bones. So it'll work. It'll just be kind of a messy rig, but it will work. Obviously the proportions here weren't matching Manny, so you would have to retarget with this character, which is, you'll have to make your own custom animations for this character if you want it to look really good. It'll kind of use default animations, but you really want to make your own animations. So anyway, let's talk about some of the features that you can add to your rig. So let's go, actually no, let's make sure our bones are all in the right place. So let's check the hands here. So if you go into pose mode, grab a finger here. Actually, let's do this. Let's go to tools. So AutoRig Pro has all these nice tools built into it. So you can do finger grasp and you can see all the fingers moving. You just want to make sure they're all kind of like, yeah, that's okay. Thumb's a little bit weird. Might have to rotate that thumb a bit for the mesh, but it's looking pretty good. Grab these, go to, here and 2 and RX, RZ, RY. Okay, that's looking okay. You can see the mesh is bending funny. We'll have to fix that. But it's looking more or less okay. I mean, it did a pretty decent job. Let's show you how to add. So this is basically how you would add an accessory. So you could grab your eyebrows, shift click the rig. You can just hit Alt P to parent. Sorry, Control P to parent, and just do with automatic weights. Then shift click your main mesh, shift click the eyebrow, and go to Object and Weight Paint, and go to Weights and Transfer Weights. Open this up and do by name. And I usually click off in space. I don't know if that does anything, but that's what I do. And now these eyebrows are following the main mesh. So you might have to like smooth. So it's not perfect. You might have to smooth things out. Okay. So I guess things are pretty good. Let's look at some of the extra features. Okay, let's go to rig and edit. Sorry, it's leave pose mode. Go to edit reference bones and click the head. So AutoRig Pro remembers the last settings. So what I wanted to show you is if you click on the main head bone, you'll see all the options for the head. If you click limb options and click mouth, limb options and click mouth, you can change this number. By default, I think it's 1. I set it to 2. So this way you will get 7 bones across the top of the lips and the bottom of the lips. If you do eyebrow masters, it'll let's just show it. So you can click that on, click OK, match to rig, and so it'll create a little control. So normally you just control each part of the eyebrow separately or the whole thing as one. These little yellow cubes are eyebrow masters, and it controls kind of like 1/2 of the eyebrow. So if you like that, you can leave it on. I don't like it. Okay, I think that's enough for that. For the, make sure you set this to twist. This makes the arms twist nicer when your hands are rotating, and it also exports pretty well to other programs. So make sure you have that turned on. And then let's see here, limb options. I like to have joint fans also. This makes it easier when the arm like hyperextends, when it folds pretty tight. A lot of the mesh will overlap in an ugly way, and so these are extra bones to just make it easier to deal with. So I usually add 2 here and 1 there. The wrist, yeah, I guess you can have that. Just know that you're adding extra bones to your mesh. So So wherever if you export this model, that goes with it too. And so it also means you need custom animations. It'll kind of work, but you will need that. So if you want to go straight to another program, you probably want to leave these off. Okay, so I'm going to do that. And the same thing for here. Limb options, joint fence was 2 and 1. Okay. Let's do the same thing for here. Joint fans, limb options, and knee out. Oh, see, so remember the settings. So knee out 2. Oh, well, knee in 1 is nice. Thigh out 1, thigh in 1, maybe 2. Ankle, it's usually not a problem. Toes, I like to add a big toe, index toe, and a pinky toe. And click OK. And then do the same thing. Limb options, thumb, index, pinky. And then for the main, do the joint fans. Thigh out, knee in, thigh in. And OK. Okay, and click match to rig. Okay, so these are those fans I was talking about. I gotta show you this. So if you bend the hand, you'll get this geometry overlapping like that. So what you can do is click the rig, shift click your mesh, go to object and weight paint, then alt click one of these fans. There's one fan here and one fan there. Alt click that and turn your weight down. Oh, strength down, that's good. And then just paint a bit and try and get the side of the elbow that's facing that fan. Now I'm just going to do this pretty quickly. I mean, you should probably do a better job than this. But drag that a bit. You can hold shift to smooth things out. Do the same thing for this fan. Like that. Smooth it out. Click the middle fan. I think it was right here. And go like that a bit. See, that's messed up. And obviously you'll have to like spend more time than this doing it. But you can see that looks a ton better. It's just kind of nice. If you look at this side, oh, it's not mirroring. Pose mode, grab the hand. Let's go to mirror mode, hit G. Okay, so you can see this side looks like that. This side is, I think when I weight painted, I mirrored it, so it's the same thing. I was trying to show you the difference, but trust me, these little fans help a ton just to make the mesh bend nicely. So definitely use those. Let's put this back here. I think also for female characters, you can add breast controls. Okay, match to rig. Then click the mesh, shift clicked the rig, and then go to skin and bind again. And then pose mode, and you can move the breast. Great. Let's check the armpit, the shoulder area is just such a pain. Well, it's not horrible. We'll definitely have to tweak the mesh. It's getting too skinny over there. That's actually better than I thought it was. So yeah, I think that's about it. From here, what you would do is you would continue to tweak the bones to make sure everything is bending properly. You would be tweaking your weight painting to make sure the mesh is deforming nicely. So let's see here, let's show that too. So if you do the deform bones, okay, so these are the deform bones. This makes it a little bit easier to weight paint. Object and weight paint. I toggle invisible a lot, but you can Alt click, Shift Z, and then you can brush to make things move differently based on what bone you have selected. So I've got this shoulder selected. You can drag over some of these parts, so this will follow the shoulder more. You can shift to smooth things out. Grab the arm here. Maybe I don't want it to follow the arm as much, so the shoulder arm, the very top of the arm, so you can control drag to make it affect less. And that's kind of weight painting. It's easy to like throw it down pretty quickly, and it's hard to make it look perfect. But if you want the character to look good, you gotta put the time in. One thing you can try, I do this sometimes, and you have to save before you do this. Make sure we got mirror on. Turn on proportional editing. You can kind of edit the mesh while the limbs are bent. You kind of don't want to do this too much, but you can do a little bit. So that looks a little bit better. And then take your mesh, take your rig and put the arm back and see if you totally jack things up. So you can see here, I think the mask got a little bit bigger than it was before, but then it looked better when the arms were closed. So you can kind of like play around with stuff like that for a bit. Another thing I find useful is, let's see here, create a timeline. This is becoming not a rigging tutorial anymore, but it's okay. These are some kind of good tips. So Alt GRS to reset the body, and then K, location, rotation, and scale. This keys all these bones to be where they are at frame 1. Then say move to frame 10, and then move the hands or the arms like out, and move the elbows to match. Oh, and this is an auto record. If you turn that on, whenever you move something, it'll automatically keyframe it, and you can see the yellow dot appears. That means that's keyframed. Okay, so you got the arms up. So this is the base position. This is out. You can go to 20, frame 20, and move the hands higher, like that. And so I usually move like all the limbs, all the head, eyes, mouth. I move everything. And then I'll go through and tweak the weight painting. And I constantly go through this timeline to make sure it looks good in all positions. So that's another time saver. This way you're not constantly moving the rig by yourself. Okay, that's about it for the AutoRig Pro tutorial. I hope that was helpful to you. If it was, like and subscribe and all that good stuff. Also, let me know what you thought, or if there's other things you want to learn about characters, like modeling, rigging, whatever. leave a comment and let me know. Besides that, happy rigging and see you in the next one.